Good morning and happy Easter. I want to read to you today from Matthew 27th chapter, and we're going to start with the 45th verse. Now, from the 6th hour there was darkness over the land until the ninth hour. And about the ninth hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Some of them that stood there, when they heard what he said, this man calleth for a life. And I'm going to stop right there for a minute because this just hit me not long ago. I had already written some of the words down, but what I had written was speaking to what was going on in that story, and I'm going to tell you what it is. I had written down that darkness had fallen over the land, and that God has been in a state where he had had enough. And I started to think about it, and I started to see the correlation between what's going on right now and what happened back then. Is God allowing all of this stuff to happen because he's had enough? Has he had enough of the Christians who are standing by, watching, and allowing things to happen that shouldn't happen? You not using the power that they do have to do good, but only to better further their own agenda, their own messages, or their own thing, or whatever it is that they want to do. Because now they're saying that he called Elias. Now I'm going to read on, and I think you may be able to get the point. Because and straight away one of them ran now. Okay, he took a sponge and filled it with vinegar, put it on a reed, and gave him to drink. And for me, it almost turned my stomach to even think about that, because not only is he already dying or in agony at this point, he could have lived on as long as he wanted to until he yielded. We'll get to later on. But before that happened, darkness had already fell at an hour that darkness does not normally fall. So you have a precursor to something that could have possibly happened. But in the midst of that, people are still playing games. Still playing games. And for some reason they can't see the impending danger around them. And it just hit me that I feel that God really is calling those people who have the ability, who have the discernment, who have that power in their tongue to do what is necessary to even pray over those that don't see the impending danger. Okay? Because God has had enough. He's been had enough. He's flooded the world once. He's destroyed whole cities, civilizations. And yet he gives us another chance in his son, which we put on the cross. And when I say we because if you have sin that blood is covering, then you did it too. I did it, you did it, we all did. And some people are not going to say, well, I don't want to take the blame for that. Then you don't want the blood. Because the blood covered that sin, that thing that you did, or whatever it is that caused them to have to even be up there in the first place. Okay, that's covered now. And if you don't want to take the blame for that, then that's on you. I'm not, trying to tell you my theology or whatever it is that you do or don't want to do, that's up to you. That's between you and God. But what I'm trying to show you right now is the calamity that we're in right now is due to people not paying attention to the impending danger. And it is overshadowing the land. It's overshadowing everything that's going on. But in the overshadowing, here's what I see. I see the Holy Spirit stepping in. Okay? Now the Holy Spirit, now, when all of this happened, temples were tearing up. All kind of things were happening. It was dark, it was an earthquake, temple going tearing up from top to bottom. And there was a shadow there. Now, the shadow itself should have been saying, hey, there's something's going on. The sun is not there. The sun is being blotted out. Now going back to the subject, overshadow means that there was something standing in the gap between us and the source of the impending danger. And what I want you to get in your head or get into your mind is that the Holy Spirit is what was standing there for you, for me, for everyone, for your children, your mom, your dad, for everybody. Okay, that shadow that fell on the land was that it was where the Holy Spirit has stood in between God and Him doing something to us that we may not have even been here anymore. May have been or could have been wiped out, but the Holy Spirit stood in the gap for you, for me, and everything, so that Jesus could finish the work that He had to do, and that He did finish. So I want to take you to where, and let me find it. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. I don't do this very often. You have to give me 1 second. All right. Now, what we want to do is we want to go to Acts. We want to go to Acts, and this is where I'm trying to prove the point about how the shadow is a part of what concealed and healed us all at the same time from the impending danger. All right. In Acts 5th chapter, 15th through the 16th verse, King James Version, insomuch that they brought forth the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and couches, that at the least, the shadow of Peter passing by might overshadow some of them. Okay? Verse 16, they came also a multitude out of cities and round about unto Jerusalem, bringing sick folks, and them which were vexed with unclean spirits, and they were healed, every one. Now, I didn't say it. That's what the word said. That his shadow that him passing by might overshadow them, and that everyone that came was healed. Vexed spirits. We got a lot of people right now with vexed spirits. We're not dealing with a virus. We're dealing with the connection between people, because we're at a point where everybody can be separated, and then things just break down because we're not communicating with one another. I understand that we have to stay 6 feet away from it. That's what they say we need to do. That's what we should do. There shouldn't be any confusion about it, because on some level, somebody, I hope, is really thinking about what's best for everybody. And in being that we have to be that far away from each other, that we can't have the normal communications that we have with people, we have to that we still have to show people that we love them. Can we show people how much we love them without being right next to them? Can you show your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, all of these people, how much you love them without being right there up next to them? Because what does that prove? What does it prove to be right next to somebody and still really not have a relationship with them? Because there were a lot of people that were around the cross that did not have a relationship with God, and they were right there. And this time is different because we can't be around each other. So we have to think outside of the box about where it is that God actually wants us to be. Peter wasn't able to touch everyone. They just hoped that the shadow passing by would heal them, and they were all healed. I'm hoping and I'm praying that in this day and age, in this time, we can start to do the same thing with our shadows. And our shadow doesn't have to be our physical shadows, but we can leave shadows of what we do with the things that we do. You may have a neighbor that you know can't do a certain thing, and you have an abundance of it, and you reach out and give them what they need. And believe you me, that is the shadow of the capability that God has given you to do great and marvelous and wonderful things. We cannot let a virus, okay, something with absolutely no form, is so it's you can't say that it doesn't have any it doesn't have any it's not valid because it's killing people. People are dying from it. But we cannot give the fault of it and give into the fear of the time that has passed or will pass. We cannot give that power. We cannot let that overshadow how good God can be. Because as fast as this virus came, it's just as fast as it can leave. But what are we doing in the meantime? What are we doing in the midst? Huh? While things are being torn up, okay? Are we losing ourselves? Are we losing are we losing our connections with one another? Are we unfocused about what's right in front of us? Do we need to strengthen what's going with our home lives? Is God pushing us to strengthen our home lives? That's the thing. That's the shadow that we need to be hovering over us. We need a healing Holy Spirit to be overshadowing us with thoughts of how to be better in our own homes so that we can carry that outside of the home. All of this is not for nothing. All things work together for the good of them who love God. And if you don't love Him, there's somebody praying even in the midst of that. Because you're going to see His power, you're going to see His grace, and you're going to see His miraculous healing. You're gonna see any and everything miracles that are going to happen for you. And if you think that they're happening just because of happenstance, then that's on you. I can't change your mind about it, but I can show you that if you believe that, then you're going to be doomed to repeat the same process. And that's not something that they're already talking about. Oh, there's going to be a second and third and all this kind of stuff and whatnot. It will not overshadow what God can do. I will not allow that to take me to the point. Am I prepared? Of course. Will I continue to stay prepared? Yes. I'm not stupid. It's not stupid to prepare. But I'm not going to obsess. I'm not going to obsess over a virus, over something that nobody knows how to stop it. Nobody knows how to heal anybody from it. Nobody. The only thing that I do have control over is this body. And when I say this body, and this body is what I do in this body, I don't even have control over this body, because if I had control over it, then I wouldn't get a virus. I would just tell body simply, just don't get the virus. Don't do it. But that's where God wants us to be. And I know that in my heart that there's work that we need to do in our homes. So in this time that we're in our homes, for 1 month, 2 months, or whatever the time period is, there is a time that we will be coming out. And and the one thing that I've always learned, the one thing I've always heard, is that if there's a crucifixion, there has to be a resurrection. We're going to make it through this. Okay? Jesus was put into a tomb. He was put in a tomb, and the stone was rolled away for him to leave, for him to exit, for him to finish. For his body had already been remade, and it went on into glory. But that's what God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit want for us. I want to thank you for listening. This is the first time I've done anything like this, and I hope that it's not the last. I want these words to resonate in your heart. I want them to resonate in your spirit. I want you to be able to take these words, live them, and really change. Not just you, but me too. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. For all those that are listening, all those that uh, that 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 haven't heard this, I hope that the shadow of the goodness of God is placed upon those people by you, by me, so that we can get through this mess. Because we cannot let what this is overshadow the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And I wish that I could talk to you about this more in depth, but like I said, this is my first time, and the more I'm doing it, the more I'm enjoying it. So I want to, like I said, again, I want to thank you. Once I get off of here, I'm going to pray for everyone um, listening, not listening, and we're going to get through this. Happy Easter.